It's over there, mate. Just there.
Sierra Oscar 595 receiving.
If you want
Yeah, we've found him. IC1 male. Shot through the head at close range by the looks of it.
Morning, sir.
Sally, whatever you're about to do, drop it. There's been a fatal shooting up by the Canley Sports Centre.
We got AMIP on the case.
They're on the way now. Let me know what happened.
Sir.
If the pathologist is cutting this morning, we might have the bullet in a couple of hours.
Well, at least we got a name to the face. Stuart Patrick Ronson, age 34, address 28 Askell Road. Wife reported him missing last night. No MISPA report, as there were no suspicious circumstances.
Gangland execution, Gov?
Except that the victim doesn't appear to have any gangland connections. Apparently he went for a game of squash with his boss and never came back. Sally, will you pass on the news to his wife, please?
Gov. Rod. Mrs. Ronson?
Yes?
Detective Inspector Johnson, this is Detective Constable Skase.
You found him, haven't you?
May we come in, please?
He's dead, isn't he? If it was anything else, you'd have phoned. I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning. You just know, don't you?
Mrs. Ronson, we found a body that matches the description of your husband. Now, obviously, we can't be certain,
I see.
but
And how did this body die?
he was murdered.
But it might not be him.
The only way we can be sure is if you come with us to the mortuary.
Right. But like you said, it might not be him. I'll get my coat. It's Stuart. Cover him up, please.
You don't miss anything, right?
Okay. Yeah, I ran Ronson's details through the computer. Nothing.
I didn't think there would be somehow. No. Any joy with the bullet?
Yeah, we're in luck. Should have in a few hours.
Good.
Gov, I've got Mrs. Ronson next door when you're ready.
What do you make of her, Sally?
She seems genuinely shocked, but keen to help. I'm not sure how long she'll stay that way, though.
Right. Better strike while the iron's hot then, haven't we? Hello, Mrs. Ronson. I'm Detective Superintendent Wells. Thanks for coming in to talk to us. Can I get you something? Cup of tea, coffee?
No, thanks.
Just a few questions. You reported your husband missing at 1 a.m. this morning, is that correct?
That's right.
Did he never stay out late?
Not without phoning to tell me, no. That's why I was worried.
Did you try calling his boss's house?
He told me he'd left Stuart at the bar.
Presumably he had other friends at the club.
I suppose so, yes.
Did he have an active social life?
Oh, yes. Work hard, play hard, that's Stuart's motto. And God help anyone who tries to stop him. Even me, his wife. Still, it's me he comes home to, isn't it?
Are you saying that your husband was not entirely faithful?
Stuart may be an outrageous flirt, but he does know where to draw the line.
Of course. Can you think of anyone who might have held a grudge against him?
Mrs. Ronson, we're just trying to get an idea of why your husband posed such a threat to someone he was killed.
Of course you are. Yes. It's funny, isn't it? You keep saying, did he do this and did he do that? And I keep saying he does this and he does that. But you see, he would have told me, wouldn't he? He wouldn't keep secrets from me. I mean, any trouble on the horizon, we'd weather it together. Well, that's what husbands and wives do, isn't it?
I think we'll leave it there, Mrs. Ronson.
Otherwise, what's the point? I mean, I don't keep secrets from him.
Mrs. Ronson.
You can't have secrets in a marriage. What is it they say? A trouble-halved... How does it go? Stuart would know.
Well, the club secretary wasn't much use.
Oh, he's just a pen pusher. We need someone who never forgets a face. Tony Austin.
That's right.
Detective Inspector Johnson, Detective Constable Scase.
We had the crime prevention officer in here last week.
Actually, we're here on another matter.
Oh.
Is there somewhere less public?
Yeah, it's through here.
I take it you're familiar with most of your club members, yeah?
I'm on first name terms with most of them. Why? Somebody doing something they shouldn't?
Does the name Stuart Ronson ring any bells?
Stuart, yeah. Nice bloke. He was in here last night, as it happens. Is he in some sort of trouble?
What time did he leave?
10-ish.
Was his boss with him when he left?
No, he left around 9. Stuart hung on for a bit. Why don't you tell me what this is about?
Stuart was murdered sometime last night. You were one of the last people to see him alive, so obviously anything you might be able to tell us would be appreciated.
Of course.
Did you notice anything odd about him?
He was his usual self. Told me a couple of jokes. Now, hold on. He made a call around 10. He looked a bit peeved when he came back. I thought maybe his wife wanted him home or something.
Any idea who he called?
I don't know him that well.
Do all club members have their own lockers?
Of course.
Well, I thought his wife reckoned he knew where to draw the line when it came to flirting.
Yeah, well, I don't think we'll leave him there for his wife to find, eh? She's got enough problems. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your help, Mr. Austin.
I'd like to say it's a pleasure, but that's not quite the right word, is it?
No, try that.
2 more things to add to the list, Danny. Ronson made a phone call from the sports centre about 10 o'clock. Whoever it was he spoke to, put the wind up him. See if you can get a trace on outgoing calls.
Plus, the DI found a packet of 3 in his locker.
Well, he obviously liked to be prepared.
Right then. As soon as the DI gets back from the council, we'll go right through everything we've got.
Let's just say Stuart enjoyed the finer things in life.
Well, like women, for example.
Desk this way. Look, as long as it doesn't interfere with their work, I really don't care what anyone gets up to in their spare time.
Thank you. I take it he was good at his job, then?
He was an excellent administrator. I don't know how we're going to manage without him.
Mr. Chamberlain, do you know of anyone who might have had it in for him?
Oh. Not offhand, no.
Look, if you know that he was in some kind of trouble, it's necessary that you tell us about it.
All I was going to say was Stuart wasn't perfect by any means.
Meaning?
Look, a few years back, he did something a little unethical. Basically, I caught him with his hand in the till.
How do you mean?
All our building work is put out to tender to private contractors.
And?
But they put in their bid in a sealed envelope, which is kept in the safe. The lowest bidder gets the work.
Unless the competitors get wind of what the lowest bid is likely to be.
That's about the size of it. I found that Stuart was opening the bids and taking backhanders. It was nothing much. A few £100 here and there.
A sackable offence, I would have thought.
Normally, yes. But when I confronted him with it, he came clean. He was just starting out. Wife, mortgage, all that.
So you covered up for him?
Yes, I did. But it's not too late for me to be dropped in it if you start raking over the old coals.
Do you think he might have been tempted again, this time for higher stakes, maybe?
Wouldn't be worth blotting his copybook. And anyway, you have a pretty hard job keeping it from Mrs. Howard.
Mrs. Howard, who's that?
His secretary. That's her over there. I was going to break the news myself in a minute.
Do you mind if we have a word?
Go ahead. I'll take you over to her.
Mrs. Howard?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chamberlain. Mrs. Howard, Detective Inspector Johnson, this is Detective Constable Scase. I'm afraid I've got some rather bad news. We found the body of Stuart Ronson this morning.
What's happened to him?
He was found on a patch of waste ground near Canley Sports Centre.
What?
He's been murdered.
How?
He was shot. Mrs. Howard, obviously you and Stuart worked very closely together.
Yeah.
Do you know if he was in some kind of trouble?
Not that I know of.
At one time, Stuart was caught interfering with some confidential tenders.
News to me.
Presumably, if he was doing it again, you'd know about it.
Yeah, of course I would.
Now, please, think carefully.
I don't know anything. Look, I'm sorry.
Ronson murdered for not coming across with a tender. Sounds a bit of a tall story to me.
Yeah, can't say I go bundle on it myself. Okay, let's go and see how forensics are getting on.
I need to speak to you. I know who did it.
Mrs. Howard,
Who killed Stuart, I know.
Mrs. Howard, please.
It was John.
Mrs. Howard.
John, my husband. It was my husband that killed Stuart.
How long were you and Stuart Ronson having this affair, Mrs. Howard?
About a year.
Then what? Your husband found out?
Well, no, I told him. I told him everything. And maybe if I hadn't, we wouldn't be in this mess.
So, how did he react?
Well, I should have known how he'd take it. You see, John's not one to get riled. He lets things prey on his mind. We didn't talk for a couple of days, and then one day he just turns around and says, why don't we put all this behind us? Fresh start and all that.
So, how did he come to kill Ronson?
Well, I thought if I could get them to meet up, then maybe John would scare him off.
Why did you go to such lengths? You broke off the affair, your husband forgave you. End of story, surely.
Stuart didn't want to end it. He wanted me to carry on being his bit on the side. He led me on, you see. Kept saying he was going to leave her, his wife. I soon cottoned on, though.
I see. So how did you manage to get Stuart and your husband to meet up?
I got Stuart to call me at the house. And then when the phone rang, I let John answer.
And then you overheard John arranging to meet him?
More or less.
What did you expect the outcome of this meeting to be?
Well, that John would sort things out, you know, man to man.
Well, he certainly did that.
Well, I didn't think he was going to go out and kill him, did I?
What does your husband do for a job, Mrs. Howard?
Security guard. It's the only work he could get since he came out of the army.
Any idea where he might have got hold of a gun?
Yeah, he's got one he kept as a souvenir from the Falklands. Keeps it in the toolbox, I think.
And you had no idea he had it with him when he left?
Well, of course I didn't. I would have stopped him otherwise, wouldn't I?
So, what did he say when he got back?
All he said was, don't worry, love, it's sorted.
Which you took to mean what, exactly?
That they'd had it out. Look, why are you asking me all these questions? I told you my husband did it. Why don't you go and talk to him?
It's all right, Mrs. Howard. We have to go into details. We have to put together a picture in our mind of exactly what happened. That's all.
I see.
Is your husband a violent man, Mrs. Howard?
But John? Must be joking. He's a big softy, really. Not that he can't take care of himself, though.
So it must have come as a bit of a surprise, then, when you learned he'd murdered Ronson.
Well, maybe he lost his rag. I gave him plenty of reason to, didn't I?
You broke off the affair, told your husband. Ronson kept pestering you, so you set it up so that your husband could have a word. Is that right?
More or less.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mrs. Howard, but I can think of simpler ways of forcing Ronson to back off, like telling his wife.
Well, he could always deny it, couldn't he? Well, what would that make me look like? He was used to getting his own way, Stuart was. Could get nasty if he didn't.
How do you mean nasty? Did he get violent?
Well, yeah. Yeah, he did. A couple of times he got a bit rough.
We know from his wife and boss that he was a bit of a lad, but violence? They never said anything about that.
Well, maybe they didn't know him like I did. You know, it's not easy for me coming in here and talking to you like this.
I'm sure it isn't, Mrs. Howard. But I can assure you, you did exactly the right thing.
There is one more thing.
Yeah?
You don't exactly appear too worried about turning your husband in.
I was just going to say, what'll happen to him?
He'll be arrested and interviewed. Obviously, we'll need to hear his side of the story.
Of course. Right. You know, it can be a bit of a fool sometimes, but he's really done it this time, hasn't he?
There we go, Danny. We've got the gun.
And in a few minutes, we'll have the man who pulled the trigger.
Now, that's what I call a result, Gov.
Gov.
All yours.
John Howard.
That's right.
Detective Inspector Johnson, this is Detective Constable Skase. We're investigating a murder, and I believe you can help us.
Yeah?
I need to ask you a few questions, but in fairness to you, I must caution you
This
that...
murder, when was it supposed to have happened?
Last night.
I was at home with the wife.
And she'll confirm that, will she?
Of course she will.
John Howard, I'm arresting you for the murder of Stuart Ronson. You do not have to say anything unless you wish to do so, but what you say may be given in evidence. Do you understand?
I told you. I was at home. All night.
Look, if you change your mind about wanting a solicitor, just let me know, okay?
What would I want with a brief?
You know the Canley Sports Centre?
I've heard of it.
About a quarter of a mile down the road, you come to the Common. Ever been there?
Can't say I have.
We have reason to believe you arranged to meet Stuart Ronson there. Then you shot him. Through the head.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think you do, Mr. Howard.
I was at home all night. You can ask my wife.
I didn't just pick your name out the phone book, you know. It was your wife who told us.
What?
Your wife told us that last night you arranged to meet Stuart Ronson on the Common near the Canley Sports Centre.
You're just saying that.
Look, I could very easily make this the shortest interview I've ever conducted. But I'm not unreasonable. We like to let people have their say. Now, were you or were you not near the Canley Sports Centre last night? Could you answer the question, please, Mr. Howard? D.I. Johnson produces pistol. Yours, I believe.
Might be.
John, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. We found it in your house for starters, and I'm prepared to make a pretty substantial bet. The fingerprints on it are yours, and the bullet that killed Stuart Ronson was fired from this gun. Souvenir from the army days, was it? I'm going to ask you just one more time. Did you arrange to meet Stuart Ronson last night on the Common near the Canley Sports Centre, and did you then shoot him with this gun?
Susan told you this?
She even told us where you keep it. Why? Does that surprise you?
But I did it for her. I thought that's what she wanted. That pig, she said, I wish he was dead.
Do you mean she told you to kill him?
In a way, yeah. She told me she'd been carrying on with him. I wanted to forget about it, but it was her kept bringing it up over and over again.
So why did you do it?
Because she said a real man wouldn't put up with it. A real man, she said, would go and tear the other bloke limb from limb. She kept saying it over and over again.
John, do you know what incitement is? It's when someone puts someone else up to committing a crime. Now, some say it's as serious as the crime itself. Did Susan tell you to murder Stuart Ronson?
God, I don't know.
John, she showed absolutely no compunction whatsoever about turning you in. When we arrested you, you were convinced she'd provide you with an alibi, weren't you? Weren't you? Well, she didn't. Do you want some time to think about this?
Sally, even if you're right, you don't need me to tell you how hard it is to make a charge of incitement stick.
Oh, come on. That doesn't mean it isn't worth a try.
All right, you get the evidence and then we'll see.
You were right.
Interview with John Howard commencing at 1300 hours. Officers present, Detective Superintendent Wells, Detective Inspector Johnson. John Howard, I have to remind you, you are still under caution.
John, have you thought about what I said to you before?
Yes.
Good. Okay. A moment ago, you suggested Susan egged you on to kill Stuart Ronson. I wonder if you
I don't have anything to say about that.
I don't understand.
I changed my mind. Simple.
Why? Why have you changed your mind?
I thought about it. I got it wrong. I went too far.
John, listen to me. You don't deserve this. Your wife has behaved appallingly. She cheated on you, then incited you to kill her lover, then she turned you in.
It's not her fault.
You committed a murder for her. Have you any idea what the maximum sentence for murder is? There really is nothing you wouldn't do for her, is there?
Look, I pulled the trigger, I killed Ronson. You can say whatever you want, but nothing in this miserable world is going to make me do or say anything that will bring harm to Susan. Nothing. All right?
I quite fancied myself as an army wife.
But he left the army, didn't he?
Falklands. Put him right off. Next thing I knew, he went straight ahead without telling me. I mean, he's not a bad bloke or anything, but...
Your marriage didn't turn out quite like you expected.
Something like that.
Why didn't you just divorce him?
He'd go to pieces if I so much as mentioned it.
So, then you met Stuart Ronson. He turned out to be a bit of a letdown as well, didn't he?
Do you fancy being someone's bit on the side?
Don't suppose I would. Aren't you even curious about how the interview with your husband went?
I suppose so. Why, what did he say?
When we arrested him, he seemed to think you'd provide him with an alibi. Why do you think that was?
How would I know? Look, why don't you just get to the point?
John told us that you taunted him about not reacting like a real man over the affair, so he went out to prove that he wasn't a wimp. He did it for you.
More for him. Did he really say I told him to kill Stuart?
No, Susan, he didn't. And that's what's really sad about all this. Thanks for the coffee.
John Howard of 33 Cheetham Road, you are charged that on the 10th of November at Canley Road, you murdered Stuart Ronson. That is against the peace. You do not have to say anything unless you wish to do so, but anything you say may be given in evidence. Do you understand the charge?
Yes.
Who said romance was dead?